Okay, I see green, so we'll call to order the Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, May 5th to order. Please rise as you're able and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. You may be seated. And at this time, we'll recognize the manager, the Assistant Township Manager for Public Works to give the meeting procedures and to call the roll.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the members of the board, staff, and public for joining us this evening for the May 5th, 2026 Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors regular meeting. This meeting has been properly advertised in accordance with the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act as a hybrid meeting with the option to attend virtually and in person here in the main meeting room. If you are in attendance virtually using the WebEx platform and wish to speak on behalf of an agenda item, please say your name, municipality of residence, and the topic you wish to speak on when the chair calls on you. If you are attending in person with us in the main meeting room and wish to speak on behalf of an agenda item, please address the board at the podium and state your name, municipality of residence, and the topic you wish to speak on. Members of the public attending using the WebEx platform are asked to remain muted during the meeting to prevent any ambient noise from disrupting the meeting. If a member of the public is acknowledged by the chair, they may unmute their microphone for their question or comment. Secondly, board members are asked to indicate their name when motioning or seconding a motion so that the minutes may accurately reflect the action taken. Finally, a roll call of the Board of Supervisors will now be taken to ensure that all members can hear and interact using the WebEx meeting platform. Please indicate that you are here when your name is called. Mr. Thompson.
Here.
Mr. Patterson.
Present.
Ms. Stevens.
Here.
Mr. Heller.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And at this time, I'll recognize the Township Manager who will provide us with an announcement.
Just, board, several announcements I want to make for you and the public. One is just to let the public know we do have an opening with the Regional Human Relations Commission. The representative currently sitting on that commission has submitted her resignation. This commission is an ABC of the Borough of State College, but it has a representative from each municipality. So the process is anybody interested in this can look on our website to see what it entails. All those interested will be submitted to the Board of Supervisors, and then the board decides who they want to submit to the Borough of State College as the representative. The appointment actually comes from the Borough of State College based on a recommendation from each municipality. So I wanted to let the public know that it is on our website if you have any interest in the Regional Human Relations Commission. Second, I just wanted to announce several thank yous that we have gotten since the last meeting. Two of them as a result of donations that you made to organizations. We got a thank you letter from Jen Pensick at Center Safe for the donation you made to her, and also from just make sure I get the name correct, Trish Schallenberger on behalf of the Soldier's Hand Walk for the Fallen that we donated to. And lastly, hopefully all of our residents and the board have received our spring newsletter in the mail. We got a thank you note from a resident, a written thank you note that was sent in just commenting about how well the newsletter was put together from a graphic standpoint, but also the very diverse information and content that was in the newsletter. So if you didn't get your newsletter, let us know. We'll make sure you have one. And I just wanted to recognize staff for all the work they did putting that together. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Did any board members have any proposals to changes to the agenda this evening? Or okay, everyone is good with that? All right. We'll move on to announcements and proclamations. This evening we have 4, and we'll move along these as quickly as we can. A proclamation of Township of Ferguson, Center County, Pennsylvania to recognize May 2026 as Bike Month, and I will recognize Mr. White.
A proclamation of the Township of Ferguson, Center County, Pennsylvania to support and promote Bike Month, May 2026. Whereas, throughout the month of May, Ferguson Township will celebrate Bike Month, recognizing the freedom, joy, and well-being that biking brings to riders in our community. And, whereas, bicycling has been shown to enhance citizens' health, well-being, and overall quality of life while simultaneously boosting the economy of the center region by attracting tourism, supporting local businesses, and reducing pollution and traffic congestion on our streets and roads. And whereas May 11th through 17th, 2026 is Bike to Work Week, with Friday, May 15th, 2026 recognized as National Bike to Work Day. And whereas Ferguson Township proudly supports the 2026 Bike Month events, which encourage both residents and visitors to embrace the joys of bicycling while promoting physical fitness and sustainable green transportation. And whereas Ferguson Township is proudly recognized as a bronze-level bicycle-friendly business, and the Center Region has earned a silver-level bicycle-friendly community designation by the League of American Bicyclists. And now therefore, the Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors does hereby designate the month of May 2026 as Bike Month in Ferguson Township, encouraging all residents to participate in this celebration of biking through a variety of events and activities. Proclaimed this 5th day of May 2026.
This is Patty, motion to approve.
And do we have a second?
This is Matt, I'll second.
Okay, good. A motion by Ms. Stevens, seconded by Mr. Heller. Did we have any remarks from the board or any bicyclists out there? Mr. Heller.
I'm sorry, just in you reading that, my thighs were burning. I'm not a cyclist, so no, I envy that, and I'm glad that we're able to proclaim that, so thank you.
Yes.
Everybody knows how I feel about cycling.
And thank you, our resident cyclist. Just one last call in the room or online. If not, all those in favor of adopting the proclamation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Next, we'll have a proclamation, Township of Ferguson, Center County, Pennsylvania, to recognize May 3rd through May 2nd as Public Service Recognition Week. And I believe I got that one. I'll just read it from here. Proclamation, Township of Ferguson, Center County, Pennsylvania, recognize May 3rd through May 9th as Public Service Recognition Week. Whereas every day Americans are supported and served by dedicated public servants at the federal, state, county, township, and city levels. These unsung heroes perform the essential work that keeps our nation functioning, ensuring that our communities remain safe, our infrastructure is maintained, and our systems are of governance run smoothly. And whereas public servants, everybody embody the spirit of service, and through their work provide protection and care, keep our community orderly, and continuously strive to improve the quality of life of others. And whereas public servants encompass a wide array of professions, including teachers, doctors, scientists, nurses, laborers, computer technicians, social workers, and many others who day in and day out deliver the essential services demanded by the American people with unwavering efficiency and integrity. And whereas since 1985, Public Service Recognition Week has been observed annually during the first week of May, and whereas this week serves to recognize and celebrate the invaluable contributions of the dedicated public servants who work tirelessly on behalf of all Americans, and whereas Ferguson Township values the commitment of the township staff, authorities, boards, and commission members, local partners, and volunteers who are public servants working for the betterment of the community. And now therefore, the Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors does hereby designate the week of May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as Public Service Recognition Week in Ferguson Township, and encourages all citizens to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels. May I have a motion?
This is Patty, motion to approve.
And do we have a second?
This is Trevor, I'll second.
Got a motion by Ms. Stevens, second by Mr. White. Any remarks?
Here, here.
I was gonna say a thank you to our staff, even everyone in the room. You know, there's various facets of life that we touch that serve the general public, and just thank everyone for that. Anyone in the room had any remarks or online? If not, all those in favor of adopting the proclamation say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay. Proclamation is adopted. Next, we'll have a proclamation of Township of Ferguson, Center County, Pennsylvania, to recognize May 10th through May 16th as National Police Week. Now I recognize Mr. Heller.
All right. Proclamation reads, whereas National Police Week in America was established to honor and recognize the sacrifices and contributions of police officers who serve and protect communities of all sizes. And whereas National Police Week, observed annually in May, was established in 1962 through a proclamation issued by President John F. Kennedy to honor the service and sacrifice of law enforcement officers across the nation. And whereas our community will always value and commend the courage and dedication of police officers who risk their lives each day to uphold the rule of law and ensure the safety and well-being of all residents. And whereas, now more than ever, the community recognizes and values the efforts of our police officers to foster community involvement, strengthen mutual trust, and build positive relationships and camaraderie with our increasingly diverse population in Ferguson Township. And whereas police officers engage with and serve the public in diverse and wide-ranging capacities, and their dedication and service are recognized and deeply appreciated by the community. And now, therefore, the Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim the week of May 10th through the 16th, 2026, as National Police Week in Ferguson Township, and encourages all residents to join the township in recognition of the services, sacrifices, and efforts the Ferguson Township Police Department makes to best serve the community. Proclaimed this 5th day of May, 2026.
This is Patty. Motion to approve.
And do we have a second?
This is Amari second.
Got a motion by Ms. Stevens, second by Mr. Patterson. Any remarks? Yes, Mr. Heller.
I just have a couple of remarks, and this happened within our community, so Chief, I just want to give a special recognition here, and I'll read this off. I want to take a moment to express my sincere thanks to a couple of our officers. First off, on Saturday, April 11th, during a medical emergency, Officer Lucas arrived ahead of EMS and brought in her bag of, I'll call them tricks. I have no idea what's in the bag, but was ready to administer whatever was necessary in advance of EMS arriving. So sincerely, I appreciate Officer Lucas's dedication there. Thank you. Then on the night of April 23rd, following a single vehicle accident involving a garden and a retaining wall, I witnessed Sergeant Morrison, Sergeant Albright, and Officer Plunkett respond with genuine kindness and compassion for everyone that was involved. And again, I just want to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation to those officers and all of our police officers here, especially as we read this proclamation this evening. So thank you and thank them.
Thank you.
Yeah, much gratitude and thanks to our officers, as well as even our municipal partners in public safety that I know have helped us as well as we helping them. And just nice to see that collaboration. Just thank all those that serve. Anyone else? If not, all those in favor of the adopting the proclamation say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. Right. Our final proclamation of the Township of Ferguson, Center County, Pennsylvania, recognized May 17th through May 23rd as National Public Works Week.
I believe I'm up again.
You can take it.
And the proclamation reads, whereas public works infrastructure, facilities, and services are essential to the health, safety, and overall well-being of the residents in our nation, and whereas these vital facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals at all levels of government, who are responsible for the planning, design, construction, operation, and maintenance of transportation systems, water supply, wastewater treatment, public buildings, and other crucial infrastructure that serve our residents. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens and civic leaders to be informed about and actively engaged in the public works needs and programs of their communities, and to recognize the vital contributions public works professionals make in enhancing the quality of life in communities both large and small. And whereas the American Public Works Association has designated the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week with the theme of Rooted in Service, Powered by Community, acknowledging the roots of service run deep in public works. Whereas some work, like building roads and bridges, is highly visible, while other public works contributions, like maintaining water and sewer systems, are sometimes hidden from view. And whereas together these efforts form the foundation of thriving communities, reminding us that every project, seen or unseen, powers the connection between service and the people it supports. And now, therefore, the Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim this week of, the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2026, as National Public Works Week in Ferguson Township, and urges all residents to join in recognizing the significant contributions made by public works personnel in safeguarding our health, ensuring public safety, and enhancing the quality of life for all members of our community. Proclaimed this 5th day of May, 2026.
This is Patty. Motion to approve.
And do we have a second?
Zamari second.
Okay, got a motion by Ms. Stevens, second by Mr. Patterson. Any remarks?
Thank you.
I was going to say yes. Big thank you to them. I know I always hear a lot of positive comments about our urban forestry services as well as our leaf and brush collection program. So there is a lot of gratitude from this board as well as the community. Mr. King.
Yeah, along those lines, since we just received it today, our Denise Meyer, who receives our visitors out front this afternoon, woman who lives on Old Gatesburg Road, stopped in today to express her extreme appreciation for the work of the crew, the Public Works and Tree crew. She had a tree that came down and the township cleaned it up, even raking the area clean. She said that she was just amazed that it wasn't just getting the tree removed, but they cleaned up everything. You couldn't even tell anything had been there. So she took time to drive in here just to commend our Public Works and our tree crew. So fitting with that proclamation, just wanted to share that.
That's great.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor of adopting the proclamation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Proclamation has been adopted. Next up will be public comment. So at this time, we will take public comment for any items that are not on the agenda. So I do know there are people here for other items that we will discuss, but we will call on public comment later in the meeting. So again, just reinforcing this is for items that are not listed on tonight's agenda, which is available outside our door as well as online. You're free to look at the agenda either on your mobile devices, just as long as you keep the volume on mute. We do ask that you keep your comments to about 5 minutes, and when you come up to the front, to state your name and neighborhood of residence. And without further ado, I will call on Mr. Glebe.
Thank you. Wes Glebe, 115 North Butt Street. I have 3 comments. My first one was actually about the brush pickup for the second time starting in this season. It's been immaculate, absolutely. I couldn't believe when I looked out and it was gone, this huge pile. And there wasn't a twig or a leaf left, so kudos. The other thing is I am now been appointed to the board of CPI, the vocational school. So I just wanted to let you know that. And then on a weirder note, I got a letter dated April 22nd from Happy Valley Casino via email. And it says, "Dear Mr. Glebe, this communication serves as a formal notice that you are prohibited from being present on entering, attempting to enter the property of Happy Valley Casino. This action has been taken as a result of prior conduct that violates the standards of our establishment. Effective immediately, your presence on any portion of the casino property is strictly forbidden. Please be advised that if you are found on the property or if you attempt to enter property, you will be considered trespassing. In such cases, Happy Valley Casino will exercise all available legal rights, remedies, including but not limited to contacting law enforcement." I tried calling them, but the number that was online was inoperative, and I had absolutely no idea why I would get this letter. I've never been to a casino except to walk through one to get breakfast in Vegas. And I think it's iniquitous that somebody can send out a letter like this. Now, I came in and I saw Detective Mayer, and he thought it might be a scam, but then I was at a meeting just, well, what's today? Tuesday, I guess when was that, Christine? Monday? Yeah, just the other day. And I mentioned this letter, and 2 people raised their hands and said, oh yeah, I know people that got letters like that. So I don't know what to do about it, but there you are. If anybody else has gotten a letter like that and wants to commiserate, you know, give me a call. I have no intention of going to any casino, let alone Happy Valley Casino.
Yeah. Well, it does sound like you sought legal advice or assistance on that.
Well, I came in and saw the detective, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Sorry to hear about that. It sounds like you actually lost before you even walked into the casino.
Well, I lost
Yeah, right.
I lost a certain kind of liberty. I mean, I've been accused without knowing why or what.
Why?
So, anyway, I thought you'd find that amusing.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, Mr. Heller.
Well, and maybe this is something that would be referred to as an attempt at fraud, because I know there are enough members of the community that have been trying to push folks away from the casino, that I'm wondering if this is an attempt at doing just that, again, fraudulently. So I'll just put that out there for awareness, but I would have concerns about what that actually, who's really behind that. Knowing Mr. Glebe would never have done anything to have gotten himself thrown out of an establishment.
Yeah, good point, and I know the chief is aware of these scams. With being that Mr. Glebe mentioned that a number of people are aware of other people getting it, and they just opened up, it's very likely that this is a scam. We don't have any confirmation of that, but it's very likely it has all the indicators of being a scam, but trying to find out who's behind it and letting people know that when you get these letters, it's kind of like whenever you get the emails or the text on your phone that says that you have to pay a speeding fine or something, and if you don't, something's going to happen. Those are all scams.
Yeah.
If I might offer, I'll go to the casino with you, Mr. Glebe, and we'll see what actually happens.
There you go.
You were selfless.
Oh, boy.
Try.
But a good plug for
Yeah.
scams.
Of all types.
You know, always good to have a conversation with friends and family, so they're just kind of always aware. Don't always trust something the first time it comes out of the gate, at least until you've verified that, hey, this is legitimate. So, continuing on with public comment, anyone else in the room? And do we have anyone online? If not, I will close public comment. And we'll go to the approval of the minutes from the April 21st meeting. Pending no corrections, I'll entertain a motion.
This is Trevor, so moved.
And do we have a second?
This is Patty, I'll second.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. White, second by Ms. Stevens. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. Right. Motion passes. Reports and presentations are diversity, equity, and inclusionary activities and acknowledgements. May 2026 is Mental Health Awareness Month, as well as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, and today is Cinco de Mayo, so happy Cinco de Mayo to all those that celebrate. Next up will be a presentation on the solar feasibility study for Ferguson Township Municipal Campus presented by the Pennsylvania Solar Center. And I will recognize the Township Manager.
Yeah, this evening, we have the PA Solar Center. Thank you, Jen. That is here. In February, the township requested a solar panel feasibility study to be completed by the Township Municipal Building. Pennsylvania Solar Center completed the feasibility study and is present virtually tonight to share their findings. Following the presentation and any questions the board may have for the presenter, the board should discuss the study findings and direct staff on whether to proceed with developing a plan for the build-out of a solar system. Sorry, that was not on my computer, so I was sharing. So I'll turn it over to James, who's been working with the PA Solar Center.
Yes, tonight we have Kat online virtually with us here, Kat Pantelis. I believe you can share your screen. If you can't, let me know, but you should be able to share your screen and begin the presentation.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, well then I'll just jump right into it. Hello everyone, thank you for inviting me. My name, like James said, is Kat Pantelis, and I am a senior program manager here at the Pennsylvania Solar Center. And like it was mentioned, the township engaged with us to discuss the potential for additional solar arrays on your property, on like the main campus property, and also what it would possibly look like to actually include a battery that would last a 3-day summer outage that would go with the current solar system that you have on your new building. So I will get into all of that. But just a quick little introduction into who we are as the Pennsylvania Solar Center. We are a nonprofit that works across the state of Pennsylvania. We are a non-biased entity that helps non-residential and anyone in the commercial sector go solar. So we help provide information, feasibility studies, financial analysis, like the whole gamut. And also too, we'll help you find a developer if you feel you need the assistance for that. We have 3 different sectors of our programming that we kind of break everything out into: the transform, educate, and advocate. So the transform is the technical assistance to the commercial sector. That's kind of the piece that I sit under and what we helped the township with. There's the education piece. So we have monthly webinars. We do lots of, educational materials just to help people understand how to go solar and what solar means for them in the community. And lastly, we do advocate in Harrisburg. Our executive director, Sharon Pillar, is a lobbyist who does help with the different, different education and like solar policies out in Harrisburg. So to get into it, I've broken out the different pieces of the feasibility study for you into 2 phases. One is that first of putting the solar on the buildings, and the second piece is that battery. So to first get into the solar, so the whole idea was to see how to go solar for 100% of the campus's usage. So looking at this, I proposed, or we're looking at proposing, putting solar on 3 of the building sites. It would be the admin building, building 3, and then the garage, or at least how they were labeled on like the map that we're given. You can kind of see the proposed solar designs here in the little pictures and what they would look like. All of the little blue squares essentially representing solar panels. So with these 3 systems combined, you're looking at around a 335 kilowatt system, producing 383,000 kilowatt hours of energy in just year 1. So this offsets approximately 121% of the electric consumption for, the admin building, the building 3, and the garage, with the solar being proposed, my apologies on this, proposed on the admin building, roof 3 and roof 4. So you're looking at over 100% offset. But the nice thing about having this little bit over production is that if we were to, add more equipment into one of the buildings, or, have 1 year we did a solar production isn't as high just because of like cloud cover, a lot of snow, something like that, you kind of have a little bit of a wiggle room with that. You're still going to hit that 100% offset for, just in year 1, for example, and it'll obviously get better every year. So with that, the general pricing that we're kind of seeing out on the market right now is you would be looking at around $740,000 just to install those 3 systems. This does not include any roof replacements or anything other than just the solar system. We did not include any tax credits in this analysis because for anyone not aware, the tax credits for solar are starting to roll down starting in July. There is still an opportunity to receive those tax credits, and that would be 30 to 40% essentially back for the solar array if you have the system installed by December 31st, 2027. However, just with timelines and solar developers, having a lot of projects in their queue at the moment, because obviously everyone's trying to get this tax credits before they roll down. For argument's sake, we don't include them into our analysis. However, that's still feasibility that you could have them if you move quickly on this project. So just for awareness, the actual incentives and piece back could be a lot greater, which would obviously lower your net system cost, and, obviously increase your payback and ROI and everything like that. But right now, the only incentive that we include is the Act 129 rebate, which is a state-funded rebate, and so that one's not going anywhere, and it's based off of your utility. So for the incentives, you're looking at around $19,000 from that utility rebate. So your net system cost is around $717,000 after all is said and done. But the good news is that you will continue to earn, in total return on investment year over year. So just over 25 years, and we only factor it out to 25 years because it tends to be the warranties on the panels. As I'm sure you're aware, now that you have solar on one of your buildings, solar does last for more than 25 years. So obviously this number will go up after the 25 years. We just factor it out to 25 years due to the warranties. So you're looking at around $700,000 total return on investments. That's also including selling of the SRECs, which I believe that you're doing as well for your other building. But the payback on this one is about 15 to 16 years. But that's without any additional funding, any grant funding, anything like that. So that's just like baseline, what you're kind of looking at. But also too, a number that we like to point out is your cost of doing nothing over 25 years. So this is an accumulative number of essentially if you were to pay your electric bill for these 3 buildings over the next 25 years, and you would essentially be paying $1.5 million in electricity bills, versus if you went solar, you're saving $750,000. So while the payback period on this is a little bit longer, the numbers still work out in your favor to save the township a lot of money over just 25 years. So this is just a high-level breakdown of everything we kind of talked about there. I'm not going to get into this, but this is essentially just kind of showing all of the different factors for your full purchase price, where the rebates come from, electricity production, that type of thing. And again, this is just a project summary of the big numbers that we like to point out on this for this piece. So I also too wanted to show what your potential solar system kind of looked like if you were to include also the numbers for your already included system. So as you can see, this is the drawing for the system that was already there. I'm not going to really touch much on this slide, just because obviously this is kind of just a showing what you could do, not like necessarily what you need to be doing. But this is just kind of some good to know information. So if you were to combine the 4 rooftops, the one that you already have with the 3 proposed, and then offsetting all of your bills, you would be looking at an offset of around 115%. So again, still over that 100% offset on your campus every year. And it's a 442 kilowatt system on that. And then this was just an option that James and I had discussed as well, just like max out everything. If we were to put solar on the entire campus, I don't have a picture of it just because it was like each individual building. But essentially, if we were to put solar on each one of the roofs proposed here, you would be looking at a 629 kilowatt system, offsetting around 167% of the combined annual electricity for those 4 buildings. And that's just like putting solar on every single roof on the campus. That is not an option we necessarily recommend, because we don't recommend going too far past what your current electric bill is, for a lot of different reasons. But also too, I know that there's some roofs on your campus that need replaced. And to be honest with you, not every single roof on your property is the best solar potential. So it almost like wouldn't be worth like the squeeze, to be able to just put the solar, a couple of panels on like that one roof, for example. So with that, I did include a thing about merchant generation. This kind of goes back to what I was saying with the max solar potential and why we don't recommend offsetting like a significant portion higher than your offset or your electric bill per year, because it puts you into what's called merchant generation. So these are just some general things to know, that, we don't recommend it because it's a changing entity all the time. And actually First Energy right now has been involved in like legal and regulatory challenges tied to Pennsylvania's community solar program. So they specifically are saying how merchant generations are compensated. So there's no regulation right now of like how you would get compensated for that merchant generation and like overproduction. And if First Energy's, legal stuff passes, it will significantly change the landscape and how a merchant generation would get paid. And so it would more than likely reduce actually what your payback on that would be. And we're not confident in, the putting this like overly optimistic, ideal out there that you'll get paid so much for overgeneration when in reality that it will probably change in the policy side. And so your payback period for spending more to just overproduce would actually be worse. So just putting that out there, we don't necessarily recommend it. And also too, you would have to go into a contract with the utility company, and that could take some time. And also involve some like legal stuff on that end too. So just some things to be aware of if you were to overproduce on your site. And then this is just the funding opportunities. Like I said, base investment tax credit, that 30%, that one's kind of starting to roll out in July. And then the Act 129 solar rebate there. And this is just a little slide about the federal incentive, if you need it, and some SREC stuff there. Then I'll just kind of move quickly into the battery piece. So James and I also talked about what it would mean to put a battery system, a solar generated battery system on the building, on building 6, the building that you already have solar on. And if you were to have it large enough to be able to power the entire load of the building, so 100% of the load over 3 days of a summer outage. So this is the general sizing that's being proposed for this is a 650 kilowatt hour BESS system. It's sized, like I said, sized to support that 100% during the summer outage. One thing that is important to note is that a 3-day winter outage would be significantly more challenging and would require a larger battery just due to the reduced solar production and longer overnight periods. So this battery is being obviously charged and utilized during the day, whenever the solar in the summer, is producing more because there's more sun, less debris on the roof, and type of thing. So it has greater potential to actually charge the battery more and faster. In the winter, that's obviously not the case. So we tend to do summer outages just because obviously that's when the bigger storms are. But just as a notice of, you wouldn't get probably a full 3 days of usage out of a winter outage, but you would still get a day or two out of winter outage. And also too, if you were cognizant of that and maybe reduced your load, didn't turn on every single light in the building, maybe had some people working remote there during those outages, that type of thing, and actually were cognizant of that and reduced your load, your battery would last also longer as well. So just some things to note there. Also too, one thing that's nice about having a battery is that it actually provides additional value through the demand charge reduction on your electric bill. So essentially that means that your electric bill over time will actually decrease. So I know that you have solar to offset that 100% of your electric bill, but obviously solar is based off of annual production and not based off of monthly production. So you obviously still do pay a electric bill, and that electric bill has fluctuations in its rate based off of what time of day that you're utilizing the solar or utilizing electricity and like pulling from the grid. So the battery actually helps stabilize that. And so it helps understand when the peak charges would be. And so it would utilize the battery instead of actually pulling from the grid. So it actually helps stabilize your bill over time because your bill, you're not getting any more of those peak charges. This is also just part of the battery's way of utilizing itself because it does have to stay strong. It does have to, use some of its power to then recharge itself. It's like your phone, your phone will only hold a charge for so long. So it does have to, go down and go back up. Also too, one thing to note for a battery system is that it doesn't last as long as solar, unfortunately. Right now, the market we're kind of seeing is between 12 to 15 years. We're saying about 15 years just because obviously the technology is constantly improving. But generally, you're seeing about 12, 15 years of like lifetime over the battery. So, also too, for the pricing of this, if the critical load were to be more defined, so not just 100% of your annual usage, and actually identifying like, okay, we need things like, these lights, these security systems, these refrigerators, that type of thing, and maybe reducing that what's considered critical load during an outage, your battery could be more refined, and you would possibly get a better, sizing and also pricing on your battery as well. So just as like a note on that piece. So for that sizing of battery that I proposed, you're kind of looking at an upfront cost of around $550,000. This is just an average of what's out on the market right now. Obviously, that could fluctuate just based off the type of battery you get, who you contract with, possibly what upgrades to your building that they really need to do, but this is a general average. The nice thing is that the tax credit for battery systems is not going away. So that one is actually very stable and will not be changing come July. So you would actually be eligible for a 30% tax credit back on that. And so you're kind of looking at your net system cost of a little bit under $400,000 in that first, that after all is said and done. Also too, one thing to note is that this does not include yearly operation and maintenance costs. Obviously, that would be up to the discretion of you and the developer that you would work with to install the battery. But a lot of times people do go into an operation and maintenance contract with developers just to make sure that the battery is continuing to work. If there's any issues, just because obviously batteries are a very complicated system. And so you would, unless you have someone on staff, you probably would need to provide some sort of contract to operation and maintenance it. Just some other notes about the battery system is that obviously, like I said, would be integrated with the existing solar array. So the solar would actually be charging, the battery and also going against your electric bill. So there would be times during the day you would kind of see it fluctuate for like where the solar would be utilized. I think that's all I really have for the battery. This is just like a thing about us. So I will take any questions or answer anything that I know that was a lot to throw at everyone. And I appreciate your time tonight.
Any questions? Excuse me.
No questions for me?
Mr. Patterson.
Yeah, a couple of questions. Number one, are there solar companies that can handle this type of build now that you know of?
Do you mean like just installing the solar?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, there's solar developers all across Pennsylvania and other states as well. Ones we've been consistently just on our side working with developers. Probably every 2 weeks we've been getting another client under contract with a developer. So obviously, working through, getting that first solar array, you have to go through the permitting and interconnection agreements and stuff, but they absolutely can start you on that timeline to get you moving and, in towards that installation piece. So they can start you as soon as you're ready.
Copy. Thank you. And then I recognizing some of the you said some of the
Yeah.
Haven't got to you.
hot mic.
There's a Yellowstone bear attack.
Recognizing some of the roofs you said weren't quite ready, there are, to the extent a roof was replaced, there's still an opportunity for more? Question mark?
Yeah. So do you mean if you were to put solar on all of the roofs?
Yeah, it wasn't really all. I think you said it didn't make sense to put it on all for a couple of reasons. One was that some of the roofs need to be replaced. Got it. But to the extent they can be replaced, then there are some roofs that, in addition, there could be more solar, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And James and I kind of talked about the different roofs that probably have your best potential on them. And so I can absolutely, as an addition to this, if anyone has any questions, I can send over kind of what I found for each individual roof, what you'd be looking at there. Because you can mix and match like what you're kind of looking at. This was just a general proposed of what I believe is probably your best bet. But again, you can change it up, maybe switch out, roof 4 for roof 2 or something like that, whatever it is.
And then the major reason for not going to the 600 kilowatt system was just the unknown of the sellback to the utility. Is that accurate?
Yes, yeah, and it also too presents a lot of like legal and legal challenges, to be honest, with the utility company. Ones that we even ourselves are not very familiar with because not a lot of people do it. So you absolutely can explore that, but financially, it also just is very much up in the air, and so we don't see the worth in it at this moment while it's so fluctuating.
Copy. Thank you so much.
Mr. Heller.
So thank you for the presentation. Just a couple quick questions. Number one, in the phase 1, I don't see it as an estimate for the upfront cost. Is that an estimate?
So the estimate for the phase 1, like this would be the estimated cost, the $740,000.
Thank you. In the phase 2, it says it's an estimate. This one doesn't call that out specifically, and I just wasn't sure how this was derived. It was an actual. So thank you for that. The other part too, and maybe this will just come up in our future conversations around this, I'd just like to understand and put a pin in this one, how this might impact the large generator that we have that kicks on when we lose power anyway. So that's a future conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we can continue having that conversation with the battery piece. You can actually connect a gas power generator or diesel, whatever you have, generator to a battery system. So then essentially it makes your battery last longer. Like say in the winter, like if your solar system isn't actually like doing all it needs to do, you can actually utilize a generator as just kind of that additional backup. So like, or in the winter or in the summer, say we have, a really bad storm and you don't have power for a full week. And the battery's starting to lag just because the solar's not be able to charge it as much at that point after those 3 days. People do that. Obviously that's kind of a weird thing to do because you have this solar battery and then you're putting your diesel generator with it. But you absolutely can use it as like a backup. Also to be honest, solar batteries are a lot more expensive than diesel or the gas or whatever you have. So there's a lot of like give and take with that, but those other generators don't obviously help with your demand charge reduction. And they're not as like self-sufficient as like a solar one is because obviously solars, have to like add to it, you have to add gas to it to like get it to go. So, we can continue talking about that offline, like the pros and cons of each. But yeah, you can keep both if you wanted to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I think my generic comment, not for the presentation, is that we don't have a lot of things that we do that generate a return. Other than a fund that we put in the markets has a percentage return every year. This is an opportunity to kind of bring our electric bill down every year forever for a long, long time. So I think we should do whatever we can to get there quickly. I think in our budget in last year, December, we budgeted to put some panels on, $25,000 worth, which is a drop in the bucket to the system. But I think we need to look at a budget amendment to use some of those funds to save money for years to come and bring down that number that we're spending in the out years.
All right.
I don't know if you have any public comment or not.
Okay. Just Mr. Glebe? Okay. We'll start with Mr. Glebe and then Mr. Ziegler. Okay.
West Glebe, Ferguson Township. The one thing I think was missing from this presentation, she didn't say anything about the inverter side of the solar system.
What question specifically do you have about the inverters? So the designs that we had put together do include inverters, and they are also baked into the cost of like that estimated cost.
Okay, that's my question. You didn't mention the fact that the inverters tend to depreciate in 15 years, which is way
Yes.
shorter than the panels. And I think that, to be completely candid about a pricing presentation, you're going to face replacing your inverters at the 15-year mark or somewhere around there, which they're expensive.
Yes, so it is baked into the cost. There's actually a financial analysis breakdown that I provided James showing year over year what our projected cost analysis would be. And the inverters, yes, while they can be expensive, they are not even close to the pricing of like the upfront solar panels. So if in that financial analysis for the board, there is a breakdown of, we actually put it in year 10, but you're right, it could go up to year 15. You're kind of fluctuating between year 10 and year 15, depending on your inverter. And that's just kind of baked into the cost. And so even with this like year over year savings, this does include a cost of the inverter replacements in that year 10.
That makes sense.
So yeah, it's a great question, and you're right of like there's definitely something to consider, but it is broken down into that financial analysis that James has.
Quick question, Wes. Go ahead, Mr. Ziegler.
Hi, I'm Robert Ziegler. I live in Milheim Borough, and we did this. So I can answer some of these questions. I'm so excited to be here in this moment. Everything Kat said was pretty accurate on the more conservative end of all the numbers. Am I correct in that assumption, Kat?
Yes, yeah, we try to be conservative with our numbers.
Okay. With the panels, if you're looking at those, there's like a tier 1 level. Typically, the warranty on those goes 30 years, and the inverters typically go 20 years if you go a higher level quality. You get more output, and the 25-year lifespan is considered the commercial use lifespan, which is where it generates the most amount of power. That level, you're still getting at the end of that 25 years roughly 92% efficiency. After 40 years, you're still around 80-something% efficiency. So if you were to build a roughly 110% of capacity, which gets you out of that legal gray area to the maximum, trust me, I know this, I looked into it for Milheim Borough, it's what we did, you get it can offset a lot of that loss. So you still maintain that. And then the way the market is currently, I'm saying currently because laws change, but let's be honest, the PA legislature is pretty slow and doesn't really do much. So acknowledging that fact, let's make the assumption that you're going to get the perfect market rate is what they're legally obligated to provide you if you get rid of a third-party supplier. And I'm guessing your third-party supplier that you have an agreement with probably ends around 2027. I'm guessing. But anyways, the market rate for whatever West Penn charges is what you get back from any excess generation. So right now, in Milheim Borough, we entered a third-party contract. We took some hits financially for that hit. We still made money. We have a $7,000 credit the first year of just 5 extra months of generation. And during wintertime, based on the results we have now, we have ground mounted, slightly different. In wintertime, the equipment tends to work better, more efficiently per hour because it does better with colder temperatures. And UV rays bounce off of the snow, so it also increases generation by 1 or 2% with the efficiency, generally speaking. That's with ground mounted. Roof mounted, you'd probably be looking like a 0.5% increase, roughly. Depends on the roof design. So I think that answers some of the questions you had with that. My phone number is 717-262-3530. You can call me. You can take a tour of what we got going on. I will gladly help you get through this process. The sooner you invest this, the better you can do. Oh, and you save extra money from having it directly on your rooftops because the distribution goes right to the building first before it goes to the grid. Mm-hmm. And if the generator backup, which we have for our sewer plant, works perfectly fine with it, no issues, unless you run out of diesel or gas, whatever, then that's your own fault. But generally, that helps out with the situation. So if you did a hybrid with solar, battery, and diesel, it will help offset the cost of rising diesel prices that we're currently having in our current market conditions because we decided to do a super war with Iran. Anyways, I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
I changed it up for you guys.
There was a young lady.
Yep. I had her and then anyone else?
She's the glasses on, but
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Ami. I live in Ferguson Township out in Pine Grove Mills. I was not planning to speak on this topic at all today, but I have a lot of questions, especially because my husband deals with this a lot with his job at Penn State ARL, working on solar panels and systems that he's bringing out for technologies that are being installed abroad for defense purposes, and doing a lot of that initial testing here. I love all these numbers. If it's all completely true, I am 100% in favor of solar whenever possible. I would like to advise everybody here to be a little bit cautious. A little personal anecdote, one of our neighbors in Pine Grove Mills has a lawsuit against the company that did their solar. Their estimates were way too optimistic, and they were looking at the lifetime based on 1 year estimate after installation. They're gonna forever lose money. It's not gonna pay back. It might pay back in the future if energy prices go up. They're paying extra for this like feel good of we're contributing to sustainable energy, but they recently wanted to move, tried to sell their house, and they were unable to do so because nobody would take over that loan. So my questions here, I think most of them would be answered if it was possible for the public. Do we have access to some of the reports, how this math was done, some of the estimates? Is it possible for the public to get that in the future? Because I know my husband would love to review those numbers based on his personal experience within this area and see if that lines up.
Sure. The financial analysis that was provided, we do have, it wasn't included with this presentation, just kind of due to getting a feel of where the board was and where they wanted to move in terms of next steps. But the financial aspect and the financing piece of that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Solar or PA Solar can help us with that as well. So, I mean, that's definitely something that can be a next step in the process for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I was wondering if you're able to answer just now, or if you know off the top of your head, what were the panels that were used in your estimate, like the brand and the type?
They were more than likely, so our design is just based off of like just general, like what we're seeing from other developers. So we do work with developers who have different certification, like through NAPCET. That's like the high one of like everyone has NAPCET certification, and also just some engineering certifications as well. So a lot of them have been using Q cells. So I believe that this one was done with the Q cell generator. It was probably either a 580 or a 480 watt one. It was kind of sitting in that range. I don't have it off the top of my head just because it depends on each design that we do. But it would definitely, more than likely, was like a Q cell solar panel that we used. And then for the inverters, we typically go with Solar Edge, especially because both Q cells and Solar Edge have a lot of the fiat compliant rules already kind of baked into them, which obviously you right now need those to get into your federal tax credit certifications. So those would be the two panels. But when we talk with developers and have them work on their actual like proposals for these, they are free to utilize panels. And we actually, we tell them they have to put in their proposals which panels they're using. So it's, fair and everyone's aware of it. But a lot of times we do see it's Q cells or Solar Edge inverters, one or the other or both or that type of thing.
All right, awesome. Also, your estimates, were they based on a specific angle of the solar panels? Was it the 75-degree ideal within this area based on our latitude, longitude, or was it based on the current roof, which is more close to flat in most of these?
It would have been on the roof. We did use the soiling conditions for Ferguson Township, and also just like general like shading analysis and that type of thing. We use a helioscope, which is an industry standard, and a lot of developers use it. So we utilize both like the angle of the roof with the soiling conditions that you would end up seeing in your area.
Okay, and the maintenance also goes into the amount that efficiency will go down based on dirt and the maintenance to clean those off periodically throughout the year?
Yeah, so the operation and maintenance cost is baked into the financial analysis currently. Like I kind of said with the battery, is that is something that is a contract you can either enter into or you don't have to enter into. It kind of depends on the client's preference. But absolutely, if you were to go into an operation and maintenance cost, we do a general estimate of what we're kind of seeing out there on the free market, and put that into the general cost there, so you can have someone come out and, clean the panels for you if you wanted to.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I would like to ask, if possible, to make the full report and all of its math available to the public. I think that way people who already do this work in this area could comment upon the efficiency and think if those numbers do actually pan out. If it is 100% in support, I think it's worthwhile to look into and to continue to check. One other thing I wanted to mention is just another personal anecdote. My parents had solar on a new roof. That roof blew off in 100-mile-per-hour gust winds. It should have been insured up to 130. And nobody is paying it. The solar panel company that installed them is now currently out of business. They have a lawsuit against them against the Attorney General in Hawaii. And the roof company is saying it's not their responsibility because they contracted out to the solar company to do that afterwards. So I know I'm working with the Center County Conservation District, trying to do some projects here locally within Ferguson for natural conservation. I know for some of their bids, they accept the lowest bidder. And that's generally how that works. I don't know why that is dictated that way, so we have to be very careful in our proposal what we are asking for, just to make sure that lowest bid does cover us for liability in the future. I would just like everybody on the board to be aware of that, look into it as we move forward with this, because if it does all work out in numbers, it sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I believe the manager.
I just want to comment on the public access to the documents. I don't want to make a decision without seeing the full document. I think we have to make sure we're going to provide anything that is accessible. We want to be transparent. But to say tonight, without seeing all the information, that everything that we get in the report we can share, I think we need to see that report and make sure that it is appropriate to share. In the event there be something in there that for some reason it wouldn't be appropriate to share. So I just don't want to be making that decision on the fly without seeing the report. But our goal would be to share everything possible with the public so they can do their own analysis and then come back here and suggest to the board what you ought to do. But just to say tonight, without seeing all the details, that yes, we promise we will do that. I just want to be on record saying we want to see the report, and anything that we can possibly share, we're going to share.
And in my understanding, this is an analysis which the information may evolve when you say, hey, we want to enter into a contract to start installing this and purchasing the panels. That's where you're going to get much more
detail.
Right.
There's more of an overall general analysis of how the industry standard has been going. If we end up asking for an RFP to get something very specific to Ferguson Township on Research Drive and specific to our buildings, it'll be much more refined. It's amazing work what Kat and her company has done for us for very, very minimal cost. Yeah. But I do agree that we want to share everything that we can, but I just don't want to tonight without seeing the full report in the event there's something in there that wouldn't be appropriate.
Summers are coming. Time is of the essence. And I'll just note that in our budget in October, the budget was for panels. That small little bit was for panels. So if we need to do an amendment for phase one, that's just one small building. I think we should move forward with that. But we can talk about that in the next meeting.
And we just spent $500 of that $25,000 on the work that Kat did. That's what this cost us, $500.
98% retaining.
Yep.
Was there, Mr. Patterson, was there anyone? Oh, yes, I saw somebody in the back there. Yep. Oh, well, could somebody even
Because they
get
can
her
hear
the
you on
mic?
CNET.
Well, she's coming. It's a good exercise.
Because why didn't I see her get hurt?
Okay, my name is Eileen White, and I live in Greenleaf Manor Development. And I would like to know how many of you came tonight to hear about the solar panels? Okay, I think it's a little bit, I'm insulted that I think you expected a large turnout. We're here an hour and 5 minutes already. Couldn't the agenda have been flipped, or were you tied into hearing this as the first item? That's just my concern. I mean, I saw somebody on there wrote they had to leave because they were putting their 2-year-old to bed. At least one or two people from what I saw, had walked out. Like, is there a reason that most of us came and it was to discuss the data center and we're towards the end? It's my concern, that's it.
I was going to say, this was what the board had agreed on. Yeah, yes, Tom.
Well, I mean, I understand your point. We have a set agenda that says where presentations fit. This fit in where presentations are, which comes
Right.
before the new business and old business. It doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to recommend to the board or the board to decide that let's move the agenda around. So I understand your comment. We appreciate that. We believe we can keep this moving.
Yeah, and there was a few different items on the agenda here that, other than just the data centers, that people were also interested in hearing as well and speaking on. So, Wes, if you could real quick.
I just wanted to suggest, since I'm on the UAJA board, that's probably the biggest solar project in the center region, and you have access to the assistant director and the director almost any time, and they've collected data on their project. I'm not saying anything to cast a doubt on this woman's group, but it's here, it's available, and it's free. It won't cost you $500 to call up Corey or Jason Brown and have a chat with them. So,
Thank you, Wes. Okay. Did you have a particular action you wanted to?
No, just to bring this back under old business to further the discussion.
Yeah, I think it's good that we just do that, so. Right. Thank you for joining us. And,
Thanks, everyone.
And that will bring us to unfinished business with a board member request, earned income tax reform by Mr. Patterson, and I will recognize the manager.
Included with the agenda packet, Supervisor Patterson has provided a memo with the proposed letter the Board of Supervisors can discuss and consider authorizing the Township Manager to send on behalf of the Board to the Pennsylvania Municipal League, requesting they adopt local tax reform as one of PML's legislative priorities. PML's legislative priorities will be determined during their annual conference in October of 2026. Following a discussion, a motion can be made directing the Township Manager how to proceed on this matter.
And recognize Mr. Heller.
And for the sake of time, I move to submit the document drafted by Supervisor Patterson with amendments to PML.
This is Patty, I'll second.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Heller, second by Ms. Stevens. Any discussion? I think we're good to go. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay. New business consent agenda tonight. We have the approval of the appointment and employment agreement for incoming township manager, as well as an authorization conditional liquor license agreement between the township and Rudders, and an authorization for the township solicitor to petition for a conservatorship at 116 East Pine Grove Road. Any board members wanted to pull items B and C?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, you want to, okay. Moving the, yes.
Discussion, maybe a potential amendment for removing item A. No? No, okay.
Okay,
We're okay.
all right. Okay, we have them. I think I got it, Trevor. Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Okay. With the consent agenda being passed, the appointment of Warren Obinsky to the office of Township Manager. Having received unanimous consent of the Board of Supervisors, the chair does declare that appointment approved. This action concludes a comprehensive and deliberate recruitment process that was undertaken by the township, including the engagement of professional recruiting services. as well as the solicitation and input from staff, center region officials, and the public, and a careful examination of the qualifications and experience of all candidates. Among those considered was Mr. Obinski, who currently serves as manager for Honeybrook Township, Chester County, Pennsylvania. The board expresses its appreciation to all who contributed to this process and to the diligence with which it was conducted. At this time, I would like to extend the board's commendation to our interim manager, Tom King. Their steady leadership and dedicated service throughout this transition period has ensured the continued effectiveness administration of township affairs. We offer our sincere gratitude for your commitment and professionalism, and accordingly, through the unanimous decision of the board tonight, Mr. Obinski is hereby appointed to the office of Township Manager of Ferguson Township, Center County, Pennsylvania, effective May 26, 2026. I want to extend my congratulations to Mr. Obinski upon your appointment and express our confidence in your leadership that you'll bring to this office. Mr. Obinski is in attendance tonight in the meeting room, and I want to recognize them at this time to offer any remarks that they may wish to share with the board and the community.
Evening, everyone. Warren Obinski. Still Honeybrook Township, going to be Ferguson Township here in a couple weeks. I know everyone wants to get to the data center, so I just wanted to thank the board, the directors, and all of the residents that participated in the process. I look forward to starting. I have an open door policy, so I will let you move on with your meeting, but when I'm here in a few weeks, stop by, talk to me, set up a time to meet. Be more than happy to give you as much time as everyone needs, and I'll let you move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, that's.
I know what you want.
Yeah,
I got you.
Thank you.
Any
Apologies.
other remarks from the board on this? Otherwise, yes, Mr. King?
Continue as is.
Yep, I'm going to continue as is. So the next item was going to be a public hearing for a conditional use application to allow the storage of land clearing material in the rural agricultural district at 2850 Ernest Lane. As of yesterday, the applicant formally withdrawn the conditional use application, so there is no action for the board or the township to take tonight. However, I do understand there may have been people here that wanted to talk about this issue. I would definitely give you the floor. Otherwise, if there is nobody in the audience that wanted to talk about that, we're going to continue to move on, trying to be respectful of your time and move through the process. Seeing none, we'll go to the resolution in Township of Ferguson, Center County, Pennsylvania, to repeal and replace Resolution 2025-21, approving an application for the intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license R20922 LID 21184, owned by Dante's Restaurant Incorporated, from the premises located at 1688 North Atherton Street, Patton Township, State College, Pennsylvania, formerly the Highway Pizza North, to 948 Blue Course Drive, Ferguson Township, State College, Pennsylvania. The Rudders approved location, and I'll recognize the Township Manager.
On August 5th, 2025, the Board of Supervisors approved Resolution 2025-21 related to an application for an intermunicipal transfer of liquor license number R20922 and LID number 21184 to Rudders at 948 Blue Course Drive. As part of the Board of Supervisors' approval, there were numerous conditions placed on the license. Earlier this month, legal counsel for Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board contacted the township to advise they no longer approve licenses with conditions requested by the municipalities. It's recommended that the Board of Supervisors adopt Resolution 2026-09, effectively repealing and replacing 2025-21.
This is Trevor, so moved.
And do we have a second?
This is Patty. I'll second.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. White, second by Ms. Stevens. Any discussion? I was going to note there was a public hearing on this matter on August 5th. Really, there has been no changes. It's just the conditions from the original resolution have been separated into two separate documents. Was there anyone from the public that did want to discuss this, though? If not, all those in, you need a roll call, so I will recognize the manager to call the roll.
Chair Thompson.
Yes.
Vice Chair Patterson.
Yes.
Ms. Stevens.
Yes.
Mr. Heller?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
All right. Next up, discussion and consideration for direction to the Planning Commission to recommend a possible zoning text amendment regarding data centers. And I will recognize the manager.
Before I read the narrative, just as a reminder, the intent of this item and for the public, this is just for the board to decide, do you want to send this item to the Planning Commission, where the Planning Commission would want to hear from the residents about any concerns they want to be addressed in any text amendments that might be made to future ordinance. So this is the board's chance to say, yes, we want the Planning Commission to take this matter up. On February 9th and 23rd of 2026, the Planning and Zoning Commission the Planning Commission requested to discuss data centers. On March 9th, in the context of a comprehensive plan, the Center Region Planning Agency discussed the possible inclusion of data centers as part of the potential shared use agreement. At that time, the Commission requested this item be placed as an agenda item for discussion. April 13th, 2026, the Commission received and discussed background information from staff and the public that included definitions on the various types of data centers, criteria and needs for data centers, example code text from a community with a significant large-scale data center experience, and mapping framework created by staff to help evaluate local suitability. Emphasized was the fact that the Township has no current application for a data center. This discussion is for a possible code text addition that would enable the Township to adequately address concerns if we were to ever receive an application. The Planning Commission voted to request the Board of Supervisors to task the Planning Commission with addressing a possible zoning ordinance amendment to prepare for potential data centers in Ferguson Township. Included with the agenda packet are the memo and presentation prepared by staff and a link to an article that was later provided by a member of the public provided here. Recommend that the Board of Supervisors direct Planning Commission and staff to work on a text amendment.
All right. Anyone from the board or?
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So I do have a motion ready to go, but I want to preface it with I actually don't think we need to send this to the Planning Commission, and I do believe that there is existing jurisprudence and the Municipal Planning Code sets forth guidelines for how we can address this. It was mentioned previously in this, and so therefore I move that the Board of Supervisors direct staff to explore entering into a formal shared use agreement with College Township to comply with the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code.
Ms. Amari, second.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. White, second by Mr. Patterson. I do want to slow this down a little bit because we do have members of the public here that would like to discuss this issue, so I do want to give them the floor. Though there is also, if the board was to take it to the Planning Commission, there is also additional opportunity there as well. So I'm just throwing that out there. So this time, anyone from the board wanted to talk, or should I want to pivot it over to public comment, or?
I'll talk because I seconded the motion. What I understood from what Mr. White just said is that from a Ferguson Township perspective, we have a couple of, and what Mr. King just said, we have two options: for the Planning Commission to do a text amendment, or to do a shared use agreement such that College Township, just like they've taken all the heavy industrial from Ferguson, they'll also take this thing called the data center. I don't know if that's the right move, and maybe we need some more information from others, but that just seems like the right thing to do because it's already been done. And I have heard from folks already. I've gotten calls and emails about it, and so it seems like the right thing to do. And that's why I seconded it. I'll just leave that there.
All right. Anyone else?
I'm happy to go over the jurisprudence, but I would like to open.
Okay.
Maybe, Mr. Manager, okay for yourself or sorry?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to the director. I just want to say I do want to trust Mr. White and his jurisprudence. I also want to make sure that we have the solicitor weigh into any legal ramifications of going with a shared use agreement, which we're aware of, but we also have had discussions about whether or not that's going to be a viable option. So I'll see if the planning director has anything more than that.
I believe the shared use agreement is going to be part of the discussion with the joint
meeting that we're having with Planning Commission, the Board of Supervisors and Planning Commission, to discuss future land use. That will be part of that discussion. There's also 100%, we need to confer with the solicitor a little bit more. We have already started that topic of conversation. Another possibility is both. If a data center an application were to come to us, it's possible it could fall under all other uses. And so we have no specific parameters to specifically deal with a data center at the moment. So that's another thing to consider. So I'm not sure what keeps the door open or if this closes it or if
Can you
that's.
talk closer to them? Sorry.
Were you able to hear any of that? Okay.
Bill, why weren't you keeping us?
Sorry. I think this blocks my voice from the.
Sorry.
In June, the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission are having a joint meeting regarding the Regional Comprehensive Plan. The focus of that is going to be future land use. Future land use map. As part of that discussion, there's the possibility of discussion of the shared use agreements. That will be discussed at that point as well. And also, to be clear, staff's not taking a position. We're here to offer options to be considered. One of those things to consider, if the data center is not specifically listed, then we have no specific conditions to attach to a data center. We could be beholden to, there's a category, all other uses, conditional use. If we attach conditions to something, they have to be specifically called out. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind that while it seems like putting data center in your code invites it, it actually allows the township to put restrictions, and that could be anything from aesthetics to placement to all those items. So just pointing that out, and again, being clear that we're following through with the Planning Commission's request to ask permission to explore, but that's it. The staff, we're not taking a position at this point. We want, we're exploring.
Thank you. Mr. Heller.
I don't know what just happened. I'll admit that. I came in tonight ready to go ahead and refer this personally back to Planning Commission and have those folks who represent our community come up with language, etc. That's what I was prepared to vote on tonight, so I'm going to have to understand a lot more about what is being proposed before anything that I'm even willing to entertain my vote. And I don't know if anybody else in the audience might also feel that way. So, thank you. I just want to open that up.
Shall I go into an explanation then?
If I may, I think there's a couple of, sorry, Cliff.
No, I would say I would rather hear public comment first.
That's fair. And if I may, I think there's a couple of things that we can do here. To your point, we can, and it could be a both and situation. It's not either or. There's already going to be a joint meeting with the regional planning. So we can move the shared agreement, which has been done before, through that wicket. And we can also get the Planning Commission to, with Madam Director, look at some language that appropriately allows or disallows certain uses, i.e. data centers, here in Ferguson. So I think there's a both and approach here. So Mr. White here has the first motion, which I think is already being done. But I think from a board perspective, it would solidify that we'd like a shared use agreement such that some other municipality can take all the data centers for the region, and we don't have to take any. And there's language in our code around, in our zoning around data centers. So I'm saying that, and I'm done. And if we want to take some comment, I'm good for that.
Sounds like everyone, majority's ready to open up the floor, so.
Yeah,
there's nothing
if we're
further.
ready to open up the floor, I can hold my explanation.
Can you clarify what a shared use agreement is?
Yes, absolutely. So, are you allowed to mine in Patton Township? No. It's because the mining is happening in College Township. And so within the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code, we have to allow for all uses. However, because we participate in a regional comprehensive plan with all of these other municipalities, we are able to share specific uses between municipalities. So Patton Township does not have to zone for mining. Therefore, with this, we don't have to zone for the data centers. And that's my understanding of the existing jurisprudence, which basically gives us the authority to deny the land development plans that come forward for data centers. And it has gone all the way up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court because of this shared use agreement.
Anyone? And yes, thank you for asking questions. We do want to make sure everyone understands. For public comment, I saw a hand patiently waiting in the far corner there. See it? If you step forward, please.
I'm Mary Jane Stout. I live in Patton Township, right on the Patton-Ferguson line. All of you know more about this than I do. My brother lives in Virginia, where data centers have jumped in and taken over before they knew what was going on. I just want to tell you that you're going up against Google, Microsoft, Oracle. All these people have a lot of money and obviously a lot of political connections. I don't know when this happened. I'm just reading a lawsuit. Elon Musk installed 27 gas-fired turbines that pump out air pollution around the clock in South Haven, Mississippi to power his chat box, part of X. It was built without permits. It was built without any environmental controls. It doesn't even have adequate pollution controls. It's one half mile from homes and 1 mile from an elementary school. So this just goes in, and he knows nothing's going to happen. It's there. How do we know that somebody's not, one of these big companies isn't going to come and see a nice big patch of farmland, offer some poor guy millions of dollars, and just do it? I don't know anything about this shared use thing, but I don't want a data center without extremely restrictive regulations in any of our townships.
Thank you for your comment. I would just quickly respond with that. When anyone wants to build at least anything major around here, like, there is a rigorous process that you got to go through. You can't just bulldozers and put something up. So there is obviously a lot more control than it sounds like there was in Mississippi. Going online, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's Natalie had your hand up, and then we'll go back into the room.
Yes, thank you so much for recognizing me. I don't know how to put my hand down, but I will figure that out. I appreciate you recognizing me. My name is Natalie Ray. I am a resident of Ferguson Township, and I'm also an assistant professor at Penn State. And my current research is studying data center development or data center siting in Pennsylvania, actually. And so I really appreciate the sort of proactive approach that you're taking, and happy to be in conversation with some of the things that I've noticed so far in some of the places that we're studying. And I just want to applaud the sort of public engagement, because that seems to be really important in like the community oversight portion of it, and being able to provide all of that really detailed information on this, like, municipal processes that can be really challenging to understand, even in this meeting, the sort of clarification of the jurisprudence, like having that publicly available and having information available for this continued conversation. As just noting that, happening here in Ferguson Township and all over Pennsylvania and all over the United States right now, a lot going on. And nothing specific to sort of add at this point, but like I said, happy to support any process the way my research team can. And again, really grateful for the proactive approach. And also, just one more thing actually that I wanted to add is just studying the way that, the electrical grid and PJM is connected, and sort of the ways that, even if something doesn't necessarily happen in Ferguson Township. We are, impacted by lands and waters in Susquehanna River Basin, and, just the ways that all these decisions are sort of connected. So would love to hear, if at all, sort of how that shared use agreement sort of can be leveraged to protect not just us, but our neighbors, and some of these environmental impacts are kind of distributed and shared. But again, I'm very appreciative, and thank you so much for recognizing me.
Great, thank you. All right, straight back in the yellow.
My name is Rhonda Johannesson. I live at 878 North Allen Street in State College. And I really appreciate all the democratic processes and all the legal work that has to be done on this. That's what you're here to do, and the people in our offices to do all the research on this. I just want to go on the record and say that the area we live in is so rich in resources that other states, countries, we just don't have. And, all of our water that's needed for these kinds of developments, we've already kind of pushed away big bottling companies from taking our water. Anyway, it's going to be hard to resist this big money that's going to be coming at us, and also just the targeted nature to get these resources that they can't get elsewhere. And I just ask you to resist and protect our quality of life for yourselves and all of the citizens that live here. And as you go through your processes, be extra vigilant, because I think we have some danger. Thank you.
Thank you. Going back online, looks like Susan. Susan, appears you're on mute there.
Hold the refrigerator magnet. All right, we'll have to come back. We'll have to come back.
We'll come back. Straight ahead. Yep.
Good evening. My name is Maria, and I'm a taxpayer of Ferguson Township. You have to excuse my voice, I'm getting over a cold. Data centers are a huge concern. I've been reading a lot of articles about a lot of states and a lot of communities that have been impacted by it in very negative ways. As the one woman spoke out about this, these are mega billionaires and corporations that are throwing their weight around and preventing regular people power. They're taking it from us. I think the biggest concern that we all have is, okay, you're talking about shared resource, the shared combined...
Shared use agreement.
Thank you. How do people of Ferguson then step in and say, well, this has been given over to patents, per se? How do people from Ferguson get the chance to say, well, we don't want it for patent either, because we don't want it in Pennsylvania? Okay? Northern Virginia has seen in 5 years an increase in their power costs of over 257%. This is reported by Brookings Institute. We need a type of regulation, and I kind of agree with the planning, going into a planning board, but do we, the general public, have any input on that planning board? That's the question. Because what we need is a separate thing. This is not a warehouse, and they want you to think it's a warehouse. They want you to give them regulations that you normally give to warehouses, and it's not. They want to tell you about what their annual usage is for water and power. But it's not, because they don't tell you about the surge that happens in the summertime, where they're using 2 and 3 times the amount like they're talking about in annuals. We need to have specific, restrictive, pay-your-approach way. In other words, you got to put up a bond. You got to put up your own damn power plant. You got to put up your own water recycling system, because all of our systems are not going to handle this. All of our systems are aging. So what they're talking about is plopping these centers down, taking the power, taking the water on aging systems that will require billions of dollars to update. And who has it? We don't have it. They have it. They freaking have it. But they don't want to pay that. They want us to pay. They want you to pay. And that's why we need to step up and stop that before it happens. Because just as the other woman spoke about with Musk, he walked into a neighborhood that he knew had no regulations, no laws, no zoning, no nothing. And he plopped his stuff down and said, mine, I'm king. No kings. So just keep it brief. We need restrictive zoning on this, because they have not just a room full of lawyers, they've got buildings full of them, looking to find any access point that they can shove their way in and take, and take, and take. And we have to push back. So I would appreciate if there's a way for us to be part of that zoning to ensure that we are protected. Because in the end, that's what I want. I want myself protected. I want my children protected. I want my grandchildren protected. Because they're willing to take it. No. No.
Thank you for your comment. Real quick, the Planning Commission does meet normally around 6 p.m. on the second and fourth Mondays of the month, and the public is welcome. That's here in this room as well as online. There is information on our website. Just like our meetings, the agendas are posted ahead of time so you can see what they're going to be discussing. So feel free to take advantage of that. See none online in the room. Yes, and just, yep.
Thank you, everyone. My name's Tim Stedman, 1516 Marengo Road. My family moved here about 5 years ago from Northern Virginia, in fact, which is a complete disaster. There are data centers everywhere. My children went to school. Where they went to school now, there's a data center butt up against the middle school. You cannot go 2 miles in any direction without coming across 2 or 3 data centers. It is an absolute disaster. And I wanted to make some points about the environmental impacts, the quality of life impacts on these data centers. But I wonder how many on the board have experienced living close to any of these centers. Is there a show of hands?
We all live here.
We all live here.
I think lots of us have heard in the news and from other reports, anyone who's been conscious about data centers, development projects. The data centers consume massive amounts of energy. They consume massive amounts of water for cooling. They pose a high risk to water tables, stream temperatures, local ecology, and water quality. We live in an area that has world-class trout streams. If these data centers impact the watersheds with those trout streams, guess what, folks? Data centers cause noise pollution. There are countless reports now of nearby residents that can no longer live there because of the humming that they have to hear on a constant basis overnight. Data centers cause light pollution. The neighboring residences within these areas see glows from the data centers. In more rural areas, these glows can impact wildlife, migratory patterns. They can impact the behavior of nocturnal animals. I also wanted to point out that data centers have a limited useful lifespan that is projected to be 3 to 5 years for functional operation before modernization projects have to occur to update them. It is known that data centers will likely need major retrofits or replacement within 10 to 15 years, and within 15 to 20 years, ladies and gentlemen, the physical shell of these data centers, which are the size of Walmart supercenters, will still be there. But guess what? The data center will not. They'll be packed up and gone. You'll be left with a concrete shell where that footprint is going to be forever present, unless somebody can take care of it at that point. But this is what you're going to be left with for each of these Walmart-sized supercenter data centers. Now, finally, I want to mention that the estimate that the other lady gave on electricity costs are absolutely true. Northern Virginia is experiencing the consequences of poor judgment from those vested, interested parties that made the decision to push ahead their business agendas. The corporate investors, the corporations that are controlling your data, they're the ones benefiting. And I have a few copies of my fact sheet. Anyone that wants to, I'll be happy to.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah, we can give that to the secretary for distribution. Okay. I'm going to cross the aisle there, and in the blue, second row.
Thank you very much. My name is Tatiana Kuznetsova. I am a resident of Ferguson Township, and I work in semiconductor industry. And in fact, I work on an AI project. So I have, firsthand exposure to a lot of those things. And there were already a lot of points brought up about the environment, about the pollution. I want to talk about something more tangible, such as jobs and money. Of course, people are going to say, data center is so good. It's going to bring in jobs to the region. There are already records that when the data center comes into the region, no jobs are being created. The construction jobs, they bring in their own people. Once the data center is built, it's an empty shell with a lot of buzz and 3 people in there. Those are not high economic value jobs, and there is not a lot of them. So people compare them to Walmart. Guess what? A lot of people work at a Walmart. Not going to be the same for a data center. And so if data centers are telling, oh, that's going to be so good for jobs. No, it's not going to be good for jobs. Second point that I wanted to make is money and investment in the region. There's going to be no money. They evade taxes at any opportunity they can. We already are getting our hands tied. I'm not sure, I haven't checked recently, but I know that the current administration wanted to stop the states from any AI regulation. So it's pretty much down to the municipal level. Our hands are not tied yet here, so I'm very grateful for that. They're going to evade taxes as much as they can. Well, April 15th was 3 weeks ago. I felt it, they didn't. And they're not going to pay market rate for electricity. They're not going to upgrade the grid. They're not going to pay market rates for water. We have pretty weak grid here. Last summer was pretty brutal, and I don't have solar panels. I am not even having proposals to build solar panels on my house, so we are not ready for such electricity demand. So yes, we basically gonna, privatize the profits and socialize. No, the other way around. Sorry. So we're gonna privatize the profits and socialize the costs as always. So this is just my 2 cents. Thank you for the opportunity. Any questions? Let me know.
Thank you so much. Anyone else in the room? Back in the corner there.
Thank you for recognizing me. My name is Tony Dastra. I don't live here. I actually drove 2.5 hours to be here today. I live in Lancaster City, Lancaster County. We went through our own process with data centers, and your solicitor is absolutely right. If there's no use put in, then they will try whatever they can to get it through. So to tell a little bit for you guys and the public what happened in my community in February, it was decided by our zoning officer, without the public's knowledge, that these data center uses were determined to be warehouses and already permitted under our zoning code. The public didn't find out until June, July, and I started as a planning commissioner fighting back as hard as I could. I did everything I could. I pulled every trick in the book, frankly. I tried calling a public hearing. I tried putting ordinance together. Because if you put ordinance at least tentatively in place, they have to respect that. So I do appreciate the forward thinking that this municipality is doing. You are doing the right thing. The people in this room have already spoken to the detriments that these can cause to the environment. The shared use agreement, just kicking it to, College Township, that does not go far enough. What really needs to occur is a moratorium on these facilities. And I would encourage this body to support that and kick that to your planning commission, and I can have those conversations with your shared use agreement. I'm a little envious that you have a shared use agreement, actually. I wish that Lancaster County would consider more of those things, especially because we have some pretty wicked municipal lines. I actually work for a municipality that's split into more than 3 pieces. So it's a funny thing. But a moratorium is desperately needed across the state. We as the public across Pennsylvania, when these facilities go in anywhere, we're harming our communities elsewhere. The more that power that these facilities need, places like Tioga County are going to continue to frack. And this state doesn't receive any tax benefit from extraction. So those communities go into desolation, their water becomes bitter, tainted, burnable. We really need to stand together as a state to protect Article 1, Section 27 of our state constitution. And if the people at the very local level of government can't stand up, then we as the people need to use Article 1, Section 2 of the state constitution to reform our government, because things are getting bananas out here. As the lady in the back spoke, we're up against the beast right now. No half measures can be taken. And the reason I drove 2.5 hours to get here and show my support to these people standing up for this issue is because it feels like no one in government, elected government currently, is truly standing up. And it may surprise you all to hear that I'm the Green Party candidate for governor. If you'd like to talk to me afterwards, I'll talk to you afterwards. I plan to stay to hear how this whole entire event goes, but please support a moratorium.
Thank you. sharing, absolutely, go ahead, Trevor.
If I may, so I just want to give a quick little background. I actually think that the shared use agreement, or well, actually the other way around, I believe that the conditional use requirements are the half measure because the shared use agreement allows us to say no. So what I'll say this, and I genuinely do believe it, but my background is as a meteorologist. I am well aware of the environmental damage that these cause. I am very against these. I've heard everybody's comments. I believe these are parasitic. I am with you. This is, and I am waiting to hear back from the solicitor's input, because I genuinely believe that the shared use agreement is the full measure for us to say no, and that the conditional use requirements would allow them to come in regardless, because we cannot say no if they meet those conditions. What they can do is they can sue us if those conditions are too restrictive. So that's why I believe that the shared use agreement is the full measure. Now, like I said, I would love to hear feedback from our solicitor, but that is right now the knowledge that I'm operating under, and I'm happy to have my mind changed. I am with you guys 100%. Please believe me. Whatever the solicitor provides me will change my opinion. If my reading of the jurisprudence has been wrong, I'm happy to go back on that. But please believe me, I am with you guys. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. You may win further travel. Going back online, looks like Susan, you.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Oh, yay. All right. So I got it fixed. I just had to restart my computer. So I don't know if I missed something. So I'll just say what I was going to say. And I just heard the last gentleman's comment. So it actually changes a little bit. I would say that if it's most protective to have both avenues explored, i.e. shared use agreement and the Ferguson Township Planning Commission creating its own regulation, if that's possible, then I would support both of those being pursued. However, just hearing the last gentleman's comment on the board, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, and I can't see from here, your nameplate.
Mr. White.
Trevor White's my name. Thank you.
Trevor White, thank you. Oh, yes, okay. If that is, you believe, the most protective way to go, then I would support that. However, if it's most protective to have both avenues pursued, and if that's possible, then I would support that. We have, people have mentioned, unique water resources in this area, and also limitations of our water resources, and a high quality fishery that is an economic plus in this region. So thank you very much for the opportunity to discuss this important issue.
Great, thank you. Yes, in the white and right in the middle there.
Two here on the right, first and second.
Robert and Renee. Okay.
Hi, my name is Patty DeSanto, and my husband and I have lived in Ferguson Township for 23 years. And we love it here. It's beautiful. I have to say, it's sort of like you give an inch, you take a mile. We've been seeing some erosion of things and some things that were mentioned by the gentleman that spoke from Lancaster. We noticed that the woods were plowed down over by Gatesburg Road and Blue Horse Drive. Hit me right up against the side of the head one day when I was driving. I saw the destruction, and all I could think about were all the poor animals that were migrating through there or had homes in there, and I thought, who authorized that? When did this happen? And I was very upset about it. I don't remember if I wrote about it to you guys, but this was snuck in. And maybe it was publicized somewhere so that it could legally be said that it was made known to us. We didn't know about it. And it was what someone else mentioned earlier about private land, because I was trying to dig into finding out who owned that land, who sold it. And these people, I think, are living in Florida now. But it was devastation. And this is how it happens. And what are they going to do with that land? Are they putting a warehouse on it? Have any of you driven across the turnpike into New Jersey and you see warehouse after warehouse after warehouse, acres and acres of warehouse. It's horrific. And is that what's going to happen here? Are we putting in a warehouse for who? For what purpose? And then will it be repurposed into a ICE detention center? Or will it be repurposed into a data center? This is how it happens. And I think that there's got to be something done by this community to not only get ahead of it, but maybe put some brakes in place. And I don't know if this is even feasible, but I'm thinking if you're looking for a real hard stop, maybe if you're looking at putting something in this community that is going to impact or cause an uproar, like a warehouse or a data center or a detention center, don't you think you ought to say this is going up for public vote? This is not going to be a vote done by our zoning commission or our board of supervisors. We're going to take it to the public, and we're going to have a meeting after meeting about it, and then we're going to vote on it. Because I think you would get the right answer. I think you would get what the people really want, and it wouldn't be about the money. It wouldn't be about Elon Musk. It wouldn't be about somebody paving the way for somebody else. It's going to be the voice of the people. And I think that has to happen here. And maybe that's what has to happen in this state. And I think we really do have to band together. And it can't be just one little community. It's got to be all of us, too. So.
Thank you. Mr. Ziegler. By the way, good job, everyone, in staying within 5 minutes, keeping a rather orderly proceeding here. I appreciate it.
Robert Ziegler from Milheim already did that. But elected official hat, Milheim, PV code. I'm the chair of the code agency out there for Penns Valley Code, which is code for about 17 municipalities. The manager there, Mike Lesniak, has already written an ordinance, heavily restricting data centers, but we don't have shared use out there. So the proposal of doing shared use and then disallowing it, which was suggested by the guy who traveled 2.5 hours, great. I think that's great. My Central PA United organizer hat, so I'm an organizer. Hi, everybody. The way we kind of view things, we believe in putting people over profit because corporations are putting profit over people, and that's exactly what data centers do. And they do ruin communities. They decimate things, and they promise jobs, and they promise all these things. Promises are never good unless they're put on paper and held accountable to that paper that they're put in through a contract of sorts. The opportunity that you guys have here is immensely powerful. And power stems from organized money and organized people, and I believe there's organized people here. Maybe a little bit of money, but definitely organized people. And you guys have a lot more power than you realize as local elected officials. The part of the job of being a local elected official is to be the last line of defense from all the crap that's above us. But you're also the first point of action to prevent things from getting to the people. And so I want you to think about that and honor that. And if you guys want to organize more, by all means. I gave my number earlier, but it's a great opportunity you guys have here, and I hope that you guys go forward with the recommendations that our gubernatorial candidate apparently has given. So thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Mr. May.
Hello, my name's Renee, and I live in Ferguson Township. I agree with what everyone has said so far, and I think if you have a conscience, you'll be in agreement too. My question is for Mr. White. If you could elaborate more on how a shared use agreement isn't just kicking the can to our neighbors. If you could elaborate on that, I think it would be much appreciated.
Absolutely. With that being said, so I'm going to read from a report from the CRPA. It was from 2019. So, quote, In Dollington Land Group v. Zoning Hearing Board of Upper Makefield Township, the landowners contended that the adopted joint municipal zoning ordinance made inadequate provision for higher density multifamily housing, and that the Conservation Management Zoning District regulations unreasonably restricted their right to develop and use their land. This validity challenge was rejected by the Township Zoning Hearing Board, a Court of Common Pleas, and the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. The case was appealed to the Supreme Court, which upheld Upper Makefield Township's refusal to grant Dollington's request. Mind you, this township refused a request, and the PA Supreme Court said yes. The Supreme Court noted that a cooperating municipality is not subject to legal challenge for failure to provide for a particular use within the municipality, so long as the use is provided for in any of the participating municipalities within a reasonable geographic area. And given that we touch College Township, I do believe that is a reasonable geographic area. Now, to your point about how this is not kicking a can down the road to College Township, I would actually encourage everyone in here to go to College Township and advocate for those conditional use requirements to be extremely stringent. I think here in Ferguson Township, we have a conditional use requirement for adult businesses, which is exactly what it sounds like. So if you want to go on a map and plot that, it basically can't be put anywhere. That's why we don't have any adult businesses in Ferguson Township. Now, I think that because data centers are the physical infrastructure for artificial intelligence tools that just a few months ago proliferated a bunch of CSAM on Twitter and has produced a lot of these materials, that we should be at least as restrictive as with data centers as we are with adult businesses. And I think that everybody here in this room should make that argument to College Township. I don't want to kick it to College Township. I want these conditional use requirements to reflect what these facilities actually are, which are parasites. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gleep. And,
Back behind Mr. Lee.
oh, okay. And then I saw Kayla as well.
Wes Glebe, Ferguson.
Where was Kayla? Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, I read a little short blip in one of my environmental magazines. I'm not sure which one it was, but it indicated that the governor of Pennsylvania had wrangled together $100 billion to back data centers. Now, maybe somebody can check that. I'm not any good with computers, but it seems to me that it might behoove us to wake up, if that is true, and start writing letters to him, because that's a scary thought that one person has organized that much money to back supporting data centers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Ms. Coral.
My name is Kayla Coral, Ferguson Township resident, and I'm going to be very careful not to blur any lines of my intent here. My intent is solely as a resident of Ferguson Township and nothing more. The Ferguson Township Planning Commission is a board of volunteers from the community that sat through an interview process and were elected, if you say, but basically just given the opportunity to represent you all. It is not an elected position by vote. It is simply that. With that being said, I want you all to know that this is better at our Ferguson Township Planning Commission than it is to kick the can down the road, because none of us really have time. If College Township is creative enough, you all sat there and basically said that our planning commission is not creative enough to do it as volunteers. We have asked, as residents, to bring this to your attention so we could talk about it, because it is important to us. So it was very disrespectful to hear that a motion was made 2 seconds out of the gate to not give us the opportunity to have this public discussion, where it means more than you guys just passing it off and saying the planning commission can't handle it. Let's kick the can down the road. Let's do other things. We asked for that communication so we could also work with the solicitor to do those things. Again, not trying to blur a line. I am here as a resident of Ferguson Township. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Howard.
If I may, just a point of order. I don't want this coming back to the township that anything, well, let me start with this. Can we legally, because it was not advertised, to have a motion to refer this under the shared use agreement, can we legally take a vote on that tonight as part of this motion? Because it was not advertised.
Yeah.
I want to make sure, because we've had things before that we'll come back and we'll say, wait a minute, we didn't advertise it this way, so that wasn't on the agenda for the public to respond
Yeah,
to.
we've had that before, and the
I wanna
people
make
that have
sure.
said that were wrong. Absolutely, 100% wrong. This is on the agenda for action, and there is a recommended motion, period. And we don't have to take the recommended motion. We, as the board, can move however we want.
Okay, as long as that is acceptable, because I don't want data centers either. I want to make sure it's just, this is tight as we can, and nobody can say, this wasn't legally advertised this way. That's my concern.
In my understanding, I agree with the Vice Chair. We've advertised that we were going to discuss whether or not to send data centers back to the Planning Commission, and the recommendation was to do that, to send it back for their discussion. So I think we've advertised legally that this discussion was on the agenda.
Great, okay, so
It's
the
just we have a
shared use.
different motion that came out from the beginning.
Perfect, that's what I needed to hear, so again, I just want to make sure that we are operating properly. Thank you.
And if staff are not the right parties for discussing the shared use agreement, then obviously I would make an amendment for the planning commission if that is the appropriate body. So apologies, it was not trying to kick the can down the road or gloss over the planning commission. That's not what I was trying to do. So thank you. I just want to reiterate, I was not trying to keep you guys out of the conversation.
Well, I will just say that after you made your motion, I also said we can do both, didn't I?
Yeah.
So please don't put words in my mouth. And I, if you feel disrespected, clearly that's not the intent, because we are exploring both. There's one motion, and for everybody's education, we can have 7 motions. We can approve 7 different actions here today. So it's okay. We're going to be back here again after we go through what the regional discussion, and if it's approved, if we go to the planning commission, it's going to come back. So there will be 2, 3, 4 more bites at this apple. Just want to be clear in that regard. If I may, maybe we could, if I may, I would love to get this motion out of the way. Bring the second motion and maybe have public comment on that, or do we want to just keep taking public comment with, I just
think it would be appropriate probably to keep taking public comment. Mr. Heller?
I would appreciate maybe an amendment to the motion to include the second part, so that it's not lost and we are passing it at once instead of anticipating what the second one would be.
Copy. I move to, if you're okay, Mr. Chair.
You're going to make me think
Yeah.
critically on this
Yeah,
one.
we're gonna-
So we have a motion on the floor.
Motion on the floor. So I move
Yeah.
to amend the motion
Okay.
to add and also have staff work with the planning commission on zoning language in parallel.
Mr. White?
For conditional use requirements that are at least as restrictive as the adult businesses in Ferguson Township.
I don't want to restrict the team that's going to go talk about that. They have heard you loud and clear
Right.
to do that, but I would hope that we could, now that you've made
Fair
it very
enough.
clear
Fair
what you
enough.
think it should, that they can do that.
This is Trevor. I will second.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want to confirm with staff, you understand the amendment.
I want to just be clear that it's directing this issue, in addition to the initial motion, it is to also send it back to the planning commission for the planning commission and staff to work on developing any conditional use restrictions while we also consider shared use agreement. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then I understand it.
Okay. Thank you. So we're not done yet here. Should I call the question on the amendment, or should I wait till?
There's a few more people, I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay. Anyways, I'm keeping this in check. Okay. Back to public comment. In the gray in the corner, and then Mr. Keogh. Yep.
Me now?
Yes. Please feel free to step forward.
Good, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Hey folks, my name's Dave Gibbons. I live in Ferguson Township and own a commercial building in Ferguson Township as well, which happens to contain, depending on your definition of a data center, a data center. I'm not here to advocate for gigawatt scale, Elon Musk style data center with 50 gas jet engine turbines operating outside. But I am here to talk about the reality that sounds like it might surprise a lot of people in this room, which is that I can think of personally at least 7 facilities within Ferguson Township that qualify as data centers today, including, depending on your definition of one in this very building.
Right behind you.
Yeah.
Closet.
2 in this very building, right? So the packet tonight was huge, 144 pages. Kudos to whoever put that together. On page 90 of this packet, there is a really good table that does a great job at defining the different sizes of data center. And we usually rank them based on how much power they use. So we go from 10 to 100 megawatts, less than 10, down to the kilowatt scale, and then way up. And this table's fantastic. So I'm here today for 2 reasons. I want to talk about the fact that a blanket no on data centers will be really detrimental to Ferguson Township. When I say 6 or 7 data centers, if you drive down the Science Park Road corridor and look for the generators, you will find businesses that depend on the data centers they have in their facilities. And those businesses happen to also be some of the largest employers in Center County and Ferguson Township. And they happen to also be the kind of cutting edge tech businesses that people want to work for, right? So the reality is, first of all, we need to be really clear what we're talking about here. And I think we should be very, very clear that we're talking about hyperscale, gigawatt scale kind of data centers, right? Secondly, I want to talk about, a shared use agreement and just kind of kicking this can to College Township. Truly, I find that idea outrageous for a number of reasons. If you've gone to any of the conferences where they talk about what's coming with data centers, I'll paint you a little picture here. We are rapidly running out of electricity, as everyone knows, to power these types of facilities. And they will, in the near future, be powered by small modular reactors, nuclear reactors that are like the sizes of, the size of like a semi-truck trailer. They'll back these things up to the facility, and that's where they will get their power. So my question to you would be, from a zoning perspective, does the township want to have say in whether or not a small modular reactor shows up in Center County? Or do we want to kick that over only to College Township to make that decision? Kind of a rhetorical question. My advice is this: I think we need to put some boundaries around what we're talking about here, right? If you're under 500 megawatts, or maybe it's 100 megawatts, that probably covers all of the standard businesses who may have on-site computer rooms and things like that, that technically speaking are data centers. And I think we need to focus a little bit more on really strong guardrails around what those facilities can be used for, how they can be constructed, and more specifically, if we focus on some of the issues that have come up down south with the X data center, how they can be powered and whether emergency generators are allowed to be used 24/7 for long periods of time in non-emergency situations. Those things seem to me to all be very reasonable items that we could add to zoning regulation, and they don't impact normal business users of this type of technology that exist today in Ferguson Township and employ many of us and contribute significantly to the tax base, among many other things. So I'd advise limits on noise, limits on size of power on site, limits on use of emergency generators, different times of day. That's in one of the example codes that was listed here. Another really good one is requiring that electrical service from the grid be ready before you issue a construction permit. That's one of the things that has come up with these data centers. It takes several years to connect a load of this size to the grid. So you can require that the connections be ready. So at a really high level, 2 pieces of feedback. I really don't think we want to kick this over to college universally. I think it, first of all, sets the wrong tone, and second of all, gives up all control that Ferguson might have over what happens with these things in the future. And then finally, I think we need to just really focus on building out an ordinance that puts some guardrails on these things, but does not negatively impact the types of uses that exist today in the township and are directly beneficial to the businesses that people want to work for in Ferguson Township, frankly.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Keogh, you're up. I'll just say real quick shout out to our assistant to the manager, Ms. Antil, as well as our planning and zoning director, Kim. They have been taking notes, and I'm sure even much of the information, if not all the information presented, has been very useful as well. So I just want to compliment them for their hard work as we're going through the proceedings here. Go ahead, Mr. Keogh.
Bill Keogh, Ferguson Township resident. For the purposes of transparency, I also sit on the Ferguson Township Planning Commission, but I am not here as a representative of the Planning Commission tonight, but rather to share some of my thoughts. I really believe that what you just heard prior to my coming here is important with regard to your processing of the whole data center concept. I'm 81 years old, and in the 1970s, depending on how you define a data center, we had computer rooms. We didn't have data centers. And it's also appropriate, and was cat let out of the bag a little bit, we have a number of data centers existing in businesses throughout the center region. The hospitals can't operate, depending on how you define a data center, without a data center. Most of our school districts can't operate without a data center, depending on how you define a data center. Most of, if not all, of most of our concerns in Ferguson Township have to do with the mega end of this data center continuum. And there are about 5 levels, and the previous speaker did mention the fact that they grade them differently depending on who's giving the information, but most often it's because of the quantity of power that that particular site has to use. I was kind of blindsided, Mr. White, by out of the box, you just making the recommendation that you made. I don't think that we're in a position to move anything to College Township at this point in time. I do believe that I'd rather see, because I'm not sure exactly how this motion is going to happen. I'd rather see the motion that's on the floor rescinded and the motion that's recommended, i.e. recommend return to the Planning Commission for their consideration, especially given all of the testimony tonight, and as one of their considerations certainly could be that you would direct us to consider a shared use approach as one of the potential approaches with College Township. So I would prefer, I'm not sure, you were pretty specific, Mr. White, with regard to your exact motion. And I'd rather see that motion denied and a new motion brought forward that in fact brings into the loop the Planning Commission and its ability to allow the residents through the Planning Commission to establish some of the guardrails that we feel are necessary for Ferguson Township, even if we include those guardrails with the transfer to College Township ultimately as our action. But I think that we've got to quantify what a data center really is and what level crosses the line for all of us. One of the things that has come up most frequently, in addition to power, has been water. And of course, we have no viable streams running through Ferguson Township to speak of, unless it rains a lot. Our resource for water, we're standing on, we're sitting on. It's all underground. And one of the guidelines that I know I would be in favor of is talking about any water use for such a data center cannot be potable drinking water. It has to be something that has already been through some kind of processing, such as reuse water or whatever. But we're sitting on the potable water, and I don't want any data center tapping into that as its source. Thank you.
I have a point of clarity. You mentioned that you didn't want this to be kicked over to College Township and that you would rather us enter into a shared use agreement with those conditions. Are we able to put conditions on College Township through a shared use agreement? Because that was what I thought you had said, and that I just want to clarify.
I've been working with the planning director in College Township off and on this topic a little bit. I'm not sure that College Township is totally satisfied with its situation in terms of the ordinance that they're moving through. So, in answer to your question, twofold. Number one, has College Township even been asked whether they would consider a shared agreement? Have they? I don't know. And number two, are we comfortable that that shared agreement will cover us from a solicitor perspective in terms of the megabucks that most of these institutions have? And I'm not sure the answer to that condition either.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keel. Mr. Patterson.
A couple of things. So really neat window opening there in that non-potable water exists at UAJA. They create a lot of it every single day.
Right.
And they can only put a little bit in Spring Creek, and the rest of it, they're putting it somewhere else, or So we have that's why College Township makes sense. There's a source of water for this use. However, Mr. White, please clarify. You didn't say College Township specifically for the shared use agreement. You just said shared use agreement. Didn't you?
No, I did say College Township.
Okay.
So apologies if we do.
So I'm happy to move to amend.
Absolutely.
To remove College Township from the original motion.
Oh gosh, an amendment.
Okay. Yeah, it's just that they are the only municipality with a data center ordinance on the books right now. Within the center region. Apologies.
My intent is to let the process move.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
a motion. Is there a second?
Oh, this is Trevor. I will second.
Okay. This is great. It's probably historic. There's a motion for an original motion. There's an amendment to the motion. Now there's another amendment to the motion. So there's two amendments on the original motion. We're going to have three votes for one original motion. Just for the, I just did the third.
Can we get a clean motion? So
after we vote on the two. Yeah.
Okay. So we would have to, or like the clean motion restated, maybe.
Point of order.
Yes.
Yes. So,
okay.
So we had the initial motion by Mr. White and seconded by the Vice Chair Patterson. We then had an amendment. That amendment was never voted on. There was an amendment made by a first and a second, but that should have been voted on to see if that amendment if the board was in favor of that amendment. So I think we need.
I think you can do unlimited amendments on the original motion.
You can, but we need to vote on the amendments each time we go along to know if we are continuing to consider that as an amendment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've had no vote on the. Well, all we So it's not a vote of the overall motion, it's a vote on the amendment.
Yes, only.
Yeah, only.
Yes, so you can do
Only.
unlimited amendments,
Right.
vote on each of
But
those.
each time,
and then go back to
the whole thing.
Yes, so
Right.
we now have two.
We still have the First Amendment that needs to know whether or not this board supports that amendment, unless there's the original person is making a clean motion.
Okay.
If I may, you have to go in reverse order now. So the Second Amendment gets voted on, then the First Amendment, then the final motion.
However, I believe the original person who motioned may have a clean version of a motion for us to start from there.
I was going to say, based on what I was trying to research this on the fly, based on what I am seeing, if the person who made the main motion, which was Mr. White, would just withdraw that, we could just start over
Clean
with
this up.
one motion.
Yes.
I am so sorry.
And yes. Thank you for your patience.
I know it's confusing.
I understand it was confusing, and I was trying to keep track of it, but yeah, if it was to be
I will
withdrawn.
withdraw this motion.
Okay. Forget any motion made.
And I only want to comment that several of the questions that Mr. Keogh raised and that Mr. White has raised is why I indicated early on is that we need to still consult with our solicitor and have conversations about what we can and can't do with the shared use agreement. So I highly recommend that we consider a motion that sends this to the Planning Commission and at the same time pursue the option of a shared use agreement.
This is Trevor, so moved.
As stated by
As stated by.
Second. Okay. Got a motion by Mr. White, seconded by Mr. Patterson. There's still some public comment.
Is there?
Yes.
Yes. So go ahead. And Mr. White, thank you so much.
Thank you. Again, I'm sorry to everyone in here. I really thought I had my stuff together. I thought this would go a lot better, but my sincerest apologies.
My name is Kevin Hagopian. I'm also a resident of Ferguson, and I want to go on record as not being here to beat up on Supervisor White. I thought, I just wanted to suggest that the question of these mega data centers, and thank you very much for the technologists among us who are able to specify the difference between, my CPU under my table and the kinds of facilities that we're talking about, where the problems are not in the data and the amount of data being crunched. The problem is in the infrastructure that's required to crunch all of that data. And it makes me think that as you seek counsel on this, not only legal counsel, but technical counsel. And Natalie Ray, Dave Gibbons, others, you have them right nearby, which is just great. I just wanted to, I'm just thinking that I understand the principle of the shared use agreement, and I understand how useful as a tool in government locally it is in order to create, as the gentleman from Lancaster said, a combining and a dividing of capacities and resources that benefits the region as a whole. And I think the idea of shared use agreements for a variety of reasons in other settings is great. It's just that this is existential, and it may simply be bigger than the legal structure of a conventional shared use agreement can serve. Because at the silliest, it sounded to me like, okay, we'll take the dirty bookstores, you take the gigantic data centers. And so as an instrument of government, the shared use agreement may not be the only way to kind of frame this. And I also want to suggest that you be in continued conversation with your colleagues across the state, I guess like the Pennsylvania, is it Association of Municipalities, that whatever
municipal league.
Yeah, the municipal league, that so that you're coordinating at a state level as well. We've heard about limitations on states being able to affect these kinds of environmental defenses. If it's up to the municipalities, then by all means, offer leadership. So I just also want to thank you for being, again, out in front of this and being willing to take our comments. And just in case you didn't recognize it, from what we've all learned tonight, this is deliberative democracy.
Yes.
And I'm very proud to be a citizen of Ferguson Township.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, seeing none. I was going to say this. It appears this will be eventually going back to the Planning Commission. If you have missed any of the meetings, they're available on CNET that you can watch on demand. You are also welcome to leave any comments by email. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a meeting. You can call, or we sometimes even get snail mail here. So there's plenty of opportunities. If anything comes to mind or you missed a chance to speak, that you can always follow up with us later. Mr. Heller.
I just want to give a shout out to the Planning Commission. Again, as we heard earlier, this is made up of volunteers in our community who sit on the Planning Commission. And if you look at the representation there, we have folks in the farming community, we have small business owners, we have citizens just who are here and happy to live in the community. And I want to thank those volunteers for being part of the decision-making process and for taking this challenge here. I also want to take a moment to thank our staff. And I recommend that everybody take a look at the Planning Commission presentation and meeting that happened at the last one. It is recorded. Yes. It's out there. You'll see a wonderful presentation by Kimberly and Pedro of the staff, going through all the different details about what these different data centers are and what they mean. And I thought that was fantastic. So a special thanks again to the staff that put that together and presented it. And I encourage everybody to take a look at it. Thank you.
And I just wanted to follow up too and say thank you. To your point, this is democracy here, and also that it is in fact bigger than the state of Pennsylvania, because our electrical grid includes parts of New York and other things. So it really is. It's a regional and bigger than center region. So thank you, everybody, and continue speaking up.
Yes.
Yep. Mr. White.
I'll just say to Dave Gibbons, to your point, I think that this is going to be important moving forward, that if we do decide to implement conditional uses, that we acknowledge that this industry is going to change. I think we're seeing that hyperscale centers are not economically feasible. And I think that that is actually going to change the land use patterns that data centers as a principal or as a primary use take over these next few years. And so that was why I thought that the shared use agreement was the best way forward, is because eventually we are going to have to revisit what this sector is doing and what type of buildings they want to put up and how we zone for those as well. And so from my perspective, the shared use agreement was that we would get out ahead of that. But I see that that's not what people want. People do want the conditional uses. And so I would just ask that we keep that in mind as we are putting in these conditional uses, that we remember that this sector will change and that we will need to revisit it at some point in the future. So thank you.
So you're not amending a motion, right?
Oh my goodness.
Man, you're fired.
I was going to say, good forward-thinking point. As I even was talking to somebody going into this meeting, I was actually on the Planning Commission when we rewrote the land saldo and land use several years ago, and at the time, data centers were not as prevalent as they are now. And like I said, it's a living document that you've got to keep proactively looking at and reviewing from time to time. And that's exactly what we're getting into now. And to your point, going forward, it is probably something we're going to have to go back and look, if we do establish rules and regulations on data centers, hey, do these still apply to data centers in 2030 or 2035? I did get two, and I was going to say I welcome any board members if you did get any emails ahead of time on this. I'm not going to necessarily read these word for word because they do kind of encompass everything that was mostly said tonight. Got one from Mr. Sanderson. What was that?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Please.
Yeah, and I'll get back to you. Yeah, just basically expressing concerns over the resources, cost, and then another one that came in late from Miss Clark, just, thanking us for proactively taking a look at this. So just wanted to get those on the record. Mr. Patterson.
Move to call the question.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion to close debate. All those in favor of closing debate, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. With more than 3/4 of a vote, the debate is closed. We do have to now call the question on Mr. White's motion, as stated by the manager. Just a voice vote on that, right?
Just a voice vote.
All those in favor of that?
Aye.
Say aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously. Want to thank everyone that joined us this evening. Got a few odds and ends left in the agenda that will wrap up, and this will go forward to the Planning Commission. Do check our website. We will post that agenda. It may not necessarily be the next meeting, so definitely check ahead before you would attend those meetings. But like I said, the public is welcome to attend those. Right. Move over to our COG committee reports, and I will recognize Mr. Heller for the Finance Committee.
I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared. I apologize.
That's okay. We can take your time. Let the room.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You're just saying let the room clear. Okay. Yes. Did you actually need to take? Anyone need to go to the restroom real quick?
I think this is.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure nobody's over your time. Mr. Heller's working on bringing up his notes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, he was just bringing up his notes. Yep.
So my notes are included in the agenda. I will say this, part of this discussion tonight, and the main focus of it is, if anybody had feedback that would pass through directly to the Finance Committee related to the fund balance policy, that's really what I wanted to draw attention to tonight. Again, I'm not really here to go ahead and speak on behalf of the Finance Committee, but if you had things or questions about the fund balance policy, let me know, and we'll take that back to the Finance Committee for discussion at our next meeting on Thursday, on the 14th. That's the main focus.
Just many thanks to the Finance Committee for these iterative changes that have kind of made its way through each budget. So thank you, sir.
No problem. And the COG, the staff has been fantastic at putting all this together with the help, of course, from our very own financial officer who's been at the table to help guide and be part of the conversation too. So yes, this has been a long time coming to establish the fund balance policy, and I invite anybody to go look at those recordings again over the past year. If there was nothing specifically on that, I will just draw attention to fuel costs are going up. I don't have to tell residents that. So COG is concerned in watching some of that. We will be able to go ahead and, emergency management will be covered for this year. There is enough money in the coffers to do that, but we have to be concerned about the fuel costs. Also, the CPIU is trending up. We do see a little bit of concerns around there. Again, we're keeping an eye on it, and I anticipate additional conversations in the upcoming months as we enter budget season around the CPIU and what that means to the bottom line and what will be passed on, and I should say in the municipal contributions. So, trying our best there.
You got to say that again for the people in the back. I don't think folks fully appreciate that CPIU. There are some people's salaries that are tied to that.
Yes.
And when it's at 4% and 5%, that's 4% and 5% increase in salaries, which is a significant portion of COG's budget.
Yes, and it's up 0.5. Likely it's going to end around 3.8, but these are all just initial predictions of that. So more to follow. And again, if you'd like more details about this, I do encourage you to tune into the Finance Committee meetings where we discuss this at length, what it means.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And speaking of CPI and the salary increases, like some of the health insurance costs have been astronomical. Some employers seeing double-digit increases year over year, which is really putting a lot of strain on budgets. So, anything else for Mr. Heller? Otherwise,
No questions.
seeing none. CCMPO, we met, I guess it was just last week. We did look over the 2027-2030 Center County Transportation Improvement Plan, also known as the TIP. That has been advertised for public comment. So if you go to the Center Region Council of Governments, or you could even put in Center Region CCMPO, Center County MPO, there will be some information to come on opportunities of, I think there's going to be an open house, but then there's also an online public comment where you can even drop off something. So very, very important for your input. Our MPO is kind of our direct contact with PennDOT. So, all the municipalities coming together, that's where we do a lot of collaboration with them, and get to see a lot of that come to life with funding opportunities and major projects. So we were actually looking over a couple projects that were recently funded with the $5 fee that you pay on your vehicle registration, that some of these municipalities would not have been able to drop a few $1 million for new bridges that were nearly or over 100 years old and deteriorating, but projects that were recently accomplished through that work and with the MPO. So, any questions? If not, we'll move on to Parks and Recreation Governance Special Committee. Ms. Stevens?
Okay, so we are actually at the point where I think we're ready to start wrapping up this committee. We have gone through a number of documents where we've just put into writing procedures, et cetera, that are taking place, and I think the final verbiage of these documents is being compiled, and it is going to the solicitor for review, and then it will come to the general forum, the efforts of this committee. And we're going to start winding down pretty soon, and or see if there are other charges to be given. So that's where we are. So you can look forward to seeing that at a general forum meeting, probably, these documents once they go through review. And that is all I have to report, other than I will just add this on too, that the Center Region Parks and Recreation are looking for feedback on Millbrook Marsh. They have a survey that is going to be out looking for residents' feelings on that. I think it's either on our social media or will be on our website, so we can access it there to take the survey.
Jenna has it up already.
Oh, brilliant.
And Allison, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Any questions? Okay. Communications to the board? Mr. Heller?
I had some on, I don't know, this thing called data centers. Yeah, several on data centers. Again, I'm thankful that community came out tonight to talk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also had communications on data centers, but also accessory dwelling units, and I just wanted to say that there was just the Village to the Battlefield history presentation at the Pine Grove Hall that was put on by an undergrad senior, Logan, and he did a fantastic job. He was telling stories about he was reading correspondence from individuals who were from Pine Grove Mills, and it really led a lot of credibility to the not credibility, but it really showed, I don't know, the through line of humanity throughout history and the evolution of Pine Grove Mill. It was just fascinating. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out there, because I know he worked pretty hard on that, and he did a great job. So that's all I got.
I've had some of the same correspondence. I also had correspondence from folks asking about our new manager, and so unfortunately our new manager was felt very rushed with his remarks, but if you guys are okay, I'd love for him to, if he had some additional remarks, allow him to to jump up and say a little bit more. Because
Anything that you want to hear from me. I'm thankful that he hasn't Wile E. Coyote through the wall. I'm still here.
The Wawa's too far away. So. Lifetime resident of Chester County, which is about 35 miles west of Philadelphia. Started my career at 16 as a volunteer firefighter, caught the bug. Went to the Municipal Police Academy, 1992. Served about 29 years as a police officer in 2 different municipalities. Came to Penn State for my bachelor's, liked it so much I came back for my master's. I was able to retire from police work December of 2021 because my wife became elected supervisor, and I jokingly said she's my boss at home. I didn't want her to be my boss at work. I was thankful enough to be able to retire and start my career at Honeybrook Township, which is, again, in Chester County. It's an agricultural-based community like Ferguson Township, about half the size, 25 square miles versus 50, 8,500 residents versus 19,000. All of the municipalities in Chester County are going through the exact same data center concerns. Honeybrook Township, where I'm currently serving, is having the exact same meetings with the exact same public comment. I think the board and your staff did an amazing description that you're just putting additional restrictions on, and I don't believe anybody I'm looking at in the room wants a data center here or anywhere. We hit it on the head. We share electricity with 13 other states, so even data centers in other states, they are drawing down our power. So I think having good restrictive uses is great. I'm really looking forward to moving here, hopefully without a data center. Looking forward to working with the staff, the board, and probably most importantly, interacting with the community. So happy to answer any questions the board has, the staff. And again, I would ask that any resident just come bother me whenever you want. I'm happy to talk. As a police officer, I can definitely sit down and listen for a long, long time. So thank you for the comment. I know someone wants to get to number 11, so I'll go sit down.
Word travels fast. Any questions for Mr. Obinski? Welcome. Do recognize a couple of our members of the press that are here tonight, and I thank them for their participation in our meetings and for their coverage of our meetings. We do have a press release that is going out tomorrow morning, so if you contact our staff, we might even get it to you before you reach out to us, but we'll have that with some additional details to support all the great local journalism that you do for our community. I did have a real quick communication just on priority-based budgeting. Any other, and it sounds like a couple other people got the same communication. Any other communications that weren't covered? If not, real quick, there is a future land use map of Ferguson Township open house on June 8th at 5 p.m. Details on that will be listed on our website. And then the Supervisors and Planning Commission meeting on that, June 8th, that same day at 6 p.m. And Ferguson Township this year turns 225 years old. So we will be having a red, white, and community night on July 15th at Homestead Park. And then for those of you who are interested in community service projects, we are also partnering this year with Kaboom for a playground build days on August 13th, 14th, and 15th at Autumnwood Park. And more information on all those events are on our website. So if nobody else has anything further to add, as our incoming manager knows, Ms. Stevens likes presenting to us item 11.
Motion to adjourn.
And we are adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.